Yeah, I don't think Terminator is coming, but a totally unexpected version of Terminator may be around the corner.
Yeah, it might be here already. Yeah, and so I agree with that. And so going back to the origin of life discussion, I think that in synthetic biology right now, we have to be very careful about how we edit genomes and edit synthetic biology to do things. So that's where things might go wrong. In the same way as Twitter turning ourselves into kind of a strange scale effects. I would love origin of life research or artificial life research to get to the point where we have those worries.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's why I think we're just so far away from that. We have right now I think there are two really important angles. There is the origin of life people, researchers who are faithfully working on this and trying to make those molecules, the scam molecules I've talked about. And then there are people on the creationist side who are saying, look, the fact you can't make these molecules and you can't make a cell means that evolution isn't true and all this other stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so and I find that really frustrating because actually the origin of life researchers are all working in good faith, right?
Yes.
And so what I'm trying to do is give origin of life research a little bit more of an open context. And one of the things I think is important, I really want to make a new life form in my lifetime. I really want to prove that life is a general phenomena, a bit like gravity in the universe, because I think that's going to be really important for humanity's global psychological state, meaning going forward.
That's beautifully put. So one, it will help us understand ourselves. So that's useful for science. But two, it gives us a kind of hope, if not an awe at all the huge amounts of alien civilizations that are out there. If you can build life and understand just how easy it is to build life, then that's just as good, if not much better, than discovering life on another planet.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. It's much cheaper and much easier, and probably much more conclusive because once you're able to create life, like you said, it's a search problem. That there's probably a lot of different ways to do it.
Yeah.
Once you find the first solution, you probably have all the right methodology for finding all kinds of other solutions.
Yeah, and wouldn't it be great if we could find the solution? I mean, it's probably a bit late for. I mean, I worry about climate change, but I'm not that worried about climate change. And I think one day we could think about, could we engineer a new type of life form that could basically, and I don't want to do this, and I don't think we should do this necessarily, but it's a good thought experiment, that would perhaps take CO2 out of the atmosphere, or an intermediate life form. So it's not quite a life; it's almost like like an add-on. With a time.
Zoot. I have a serious question for you. One of the most serious questions that you've ever been asked. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you ready to lose your 11th straight game? Yes or no? Go.
It's not gonna happen.
You think you've got me this time? Zoot, just as a friendly reminder, you've lost 10 straight games to me.
Is it Saturday over there?
Yep, 10:44 p.m.
Saturday night.
Zoot, are you ready?
Saturday night, 10:44 p.m.
Saturday night, 10:44 p.m. Zoot, are you ready? You have an invitation, son. Big Dog, were you aware? You just came in here to ask me what time it was? Alright, well that's cool. Are you ready to lose your 11th straight game? Hit that tree. That's one of the best shots that we've ever seen in the history of mankind, in the history of humankind. Dude, that shot is in some trouble.
That's what's on.
Your shot is in some trouble, son. You will be fortunate to get it in 3 shots.
Well, I can get it in the next shot.
Zoot, good job, dude.
Okay. I suck at this a lot.
Yes, you do.
And that was a 5 out of, that was a 9 out of 10.
It was a 9 out of 10.
I think it was a 9 out of 10. Could have been. Now that was a 7 out of 10. And Rabbi,
Yo, Pimp.
do you want me to rank that shot?
It also was a 9 out of 10.
Nah, 8.5.
Okay.
If you get it into the... Oh. Yeah, that's a 10.
Baby, I'm dirty. I'm dirty.
You did a free shot on this hole? Usually this takes 4 free.
I know. I'm fucking amazing, though. I want that 11th win, son. That's not good.
So, Rabbi, I think I put back on... I think I put on a little bit of weight yesterday.
Okay. Thanks for the update.
No, it's fine. I'll lose it this week.
Dude, what are your thoughts on what I just did to your shot?
I'm gonna cut until the end of June, and then I'm gonna start bulking in July.
All right. Well, do you think you're gonna be able to make it in 2 shots like I just did?
Just
Or
free shots.
1 shot, 3 shots? Yeah, you're right. Oh, no way, Zoot. No way. Nice shot, dude. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
You're better at winning because of mine.
Yes, I am.
He plays it safe.
What are you gonna do, son? Look how beautiful this shot is. Just spectacular. Phenomenal shot, Zoot. Alright, Zoot, I'm gonna go for the win. Zoot has a tough shot. Black shit. He left it short, folks. And with that, I'm guaranteed an 11th win. Unless, my internet cuts out or something. My phone dies. 11 wins, Zoot. We're gonna have to interview you.
You're not going for 12.
Zoot, we're gonna have to interview you after this one. We want to get in the mind.
No.
We want to get in the mind of someone.
We'll interview after if I lose at 12, but I'm not going to lose 12.
Okay. That was a good shot.
Next game we play Squid Games, okay?
Sounds like a plan,
If I
baby.
lose 12 games in a row, If I lose 12 games in a row, I'll have to break.
That was good.
Alright, next game we play is Squid Games.
Alright. Alright. You're
My
gonna.
life depends on this.
Alright. Well, just one moment. I'm gonna take a whiz. So, I'll be back in 1 minute. Don't leave. Stretch your hands. Do whatever you need to do. Alright, Zoot. Are you ready?
Yeah, but
Are you ready?
yeah, cool.
Now I want you to know
Yep.
that after you lose this game, the people want a good interview.
Yep.
You've lost 11 straight games, Zoot. I hope you have to go
Let's
first.
go.
I hope you have to go first. Go. Zoot, if you have to go first, oh, you got fortunate.
This is the hole that I hate. If I could delete one hole, I wouldn't delete this one.
If I could delete one hole, I don't know which one it would be. That's a good question.
I'll delete them all and give us the Halloween maps again.
Okay.
The Halloween maps are better.
Alright.
You don't agree?
I like them.
They were better.
Alright.
You had the portal hole
Oh,
on the
yeah.
Halloween map. That was like one of the best holes.
There were a bunch of them.
You know what I'm talking about, the one with all the portals.
Oh, Zoot.
Oh my god.
Zoot, now's your chance. Don't go in the water.
Fuck. Fuck.
Zoot, you had a chance. A very serious chance. Don't fuck this up, Zoot. Whatever you do, don't hit it too hard.
I just won.
You were fortunate to make that shot. Zoot, what are your thoughts on this shot? Water bump? Nope. Oh, Zoot. You might have a shot to make it. No fucking way, dude. Zoot, I have to shut you off. Are you fucking serious? Zoot, biggest shot of your life. Oh, Zoot. Zoot, are you ready for that interview, son? Zoot, are you ready? The people play games.
I think I found the person that's going to make it go viral.
Alright, cool.
No, I see.
Zoot, you know that we haven't even tied any of these games? You've just straight up lost 11 straight games.
You're going to miss.
Zoot, I didn't miss. I fucking made it. Like a pimp. I'm guaranteed.
I'm going to win this off.
Zoot, I'm guaranteed 12 straight wins.
I've seen you do this. I've seen you do this on 2 shots this one. I've seen you do it in 2 shots, but generally sucks. You're
Zoot, you don't want to play this game with me. You want to score.
okay. Besides Aiden Ross, who's the most famous person you talk to by streaming?
Maybe Amaranth?
Okay. Okay. Besides Amaranth, like besides someone who streams on Kick or Twitch.
Katie Kirk was in one of my streams. The real Katie Kirk on Instagram like 3 years ago.
Who's that?
Oh, she's like a big time news anchor. She like did the national news in the United States. She also did the Today Show. She's like almost as big as Oprah. She did the Today Show for many years.
I wouldn't have heard of her in Australia.
Yeah, you would have if you were around in the 90s. Zoot. Zoot, you ready for this interview, son? Zoot, here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Here I am on the green of hole 5 losses by Zoot. Zoot, what are your thoughts on playing not just badly, but absolute dog shit for at least 12 straight games? That interview, but I'm going to tell you what I really want. You know what I really want? A baker's dozen.
No, you're not gonna get it.
Dog, you're done.
Hey, I'll be back later. I'm gonna go listen to music. I just need to chill out.
All right.
I need a fan strategy.
All right.
I'll be back later. Get Riser in here as well. I'm trying to wake up my Riser.
Dog. You want me to get Riser in here?
Yeah.
Maybe you should stop playing like absolute dog shit, and then I'll get Riser in here.
Well, Caspian C's in here. Was he in here before?
He's been in here as long as you've been in here.
Okay, Caspian C. He's not talking, man.
He might be just chilling. Dude, all I know is that you lost 12 straight games. You want to make it 13 right now?
Alright, see you later.
You want to make it 13?
I'll come back.
Alright, big dog. Fuck yeah.
Dependent add-on.
Whooping his ass.
Cyanobacteria in the ocean.
Like a
or
pimp.
maybe to wheat. So right, we're gonna fix a bit more CO2, and we're gonna work out how much we need to fix to basically save the climate, and we're gonna use evolutionary principles to basically get there. What worries me is that biology has had a few billion years to find the solution for CO2 fixation. It hasn't really done. The solution isn't brilliant for our needs, but biology wasn't thinking about our needs. Biology was thinking about biology's needs. But I think if we can do, as you say, make life in the lab, then suddenly we don't need to go to everywhere and conclusively prove it. I think we make life in the lab, we look at the extent of life in the solar system. How far did Earth life get? Probably we're all Martians. Probably life got going on Mars, the chemistry on Mars, seeded Earth. That might have been a legitimate way to kind of truncate the surface space. But in the outer solar system, we might have completely different life forms on Enceladus, on Europa, and Titan. And that would be a cool thing because.
Okay, wait a minute. Did you just say that you think, in terms of likelihood, life started on Mars, like statistically speaking, life started on Mars and seeded Earth?
It could be possible because life was so Mars was habitable Earth for the type of life that we are right now, type of chemistry before Earth. So it seems to me that Mars got searching, doing chemistry, and
started way before.
Yeah, so they had a few more replicators and some other stuff, and if those replicators got ejected from Mars and landed on Earth, and Earth was like, I don't need to start again.
Right.
Thanks for that. And then it just carries on. So I'm not going. I think we will find evidence of life on Mars, either life we put there by mistake, contamination, or actually life, the earliest remnants of life. And that would be really exciting. It's a really good reason to go there. But I think it's more unlikely because the gravitational situation is so if we find life in the outer solar system.
Yo,
Titan and all that. That would be
how you living, pimp?
wow, that would be so cool if
Kicking ass,
Mars
taking
we
names.
find life that
What's good, the Texas man?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're like the loudest person I've ever heard in here. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm well. Your microphone is it's like in your throat. You're so loud. How you living, man?
I'm doing great. What about you?
Kicking ass, taking names. What's good in your neck of the woods?
Maybe I have to wear this mic in this Discord call.
Yeah, you do. Are you slinging dick like it's going out of style?
I can barely hear you.
All right. Well, other people can hear me. Well, we're just watching Lex Friedman. Feel free to watch.
a hell of a lot similar to Earth life, and then we'll go to Titan and all those weird moons with the ices and the volcanoes and all that kind of stuff, and then we find there something that looks, I don't know, way weirder.
Yeah.
Some non-RNA type of
Or we might find
situation.
almost life, like in a prebiotic chemical space. And I think there are 4 types of exoplanets we can go look for, right? Because when JWST goes up, and touch wood, it goes up and everything's fine. When we look at a star, we'll know statistically most
You guys
stars
have a
have
great day. I have to go to work right now.
Are they going to be
Peace,
dead?
dog. Enjoy.
Are they going to be just a prebiotic origin of life coming? So are they going to be technological?
I have to go to work, alright?
Take care, big dog. We'll see you.
So from had life on them, but
Those
not.
are the 4 states.
And suddenly it's a bit like I want to classify planets the way we classify stars.
What a
And I
fucking
think that
microphone on that dude.
rather than having this, we found methane as evidence of life, we found oxygen as evidence of life, we found whatever molecule marker, and start to then frame things a little bit more. But
as those 4 states.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, you're just saying 4, but there could be um, before the dead. There could be other states that we humans can't even conceive of.
yeah, just prebiotic, almost alive, got the possibility to come alive. I think
there could be a post-technological, like whatever we think of as technology. There could be like pre-conscious, like where we all meld into one super intelligent conscious, or some weird thing that naturally happens over time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that all bets
The
are off now.
metaverse.
Yeah, we are.
We join into a virtual metaverse and start creating, which is kind of an interesting idea, almost arbitrary number of copies of each other much more quickly, so we can mess with different ideas and minds. Like I can create 1,000 copies of Lex, like every possible version of Lex, and then just see and then I just have them like argue with each other and like until like in the space of ideas and see who wins out. How could that possibly go wrong? But anyway, there's especially in this digital space where you can start exploring with AIs mixed in, you can start engineering arbitrary intelligences. You can start playing in the space of ideas, which might move us into a world that looks very different than a biological world. Like our current world, the technology is still very much tied to our biology. We might move past that completely.
We definitely will.
But that could be another phase then.
Sure.
Because then you.
But I did say technological, so I think I agree with you. I think so. You have let's get this right. So, a dead world, no prospect of life. Prebiotic world, life emerging, living, and technological. And the dead one, you probably won't be able to tell between the dead never been alive and the dead one. Maybe got some artifacts, so maybe there's 5. There's probably not more than 5. And I think the technological one could have life on it still, but it might just have exceeded. Because one way that life might survive on Earth is if we can work out how to deal with the real climate change that comes when the sun expands. It might be a way to survive that, yeah, I think that we need to start thinking statistically when it comes to looking for life in the universe.
Let me ask you then, sort of statistically, how many alien civilizations are out there in those 4 phases that you're talking about? When you look up at the stars and you're sipping on some wine and talking to other people with British accents about something intelligent and intellectual, I'm sure. Do you think there's a lot of alien civilizations looking back at us and wondering the same?
My romantic view of the universe is really taking loans from my logical self. So what I'm saying is I have no idea. But having said that, there is no reason to suppose that life is as hard as we first thought it was. And so if we just take Earth as a marker, and if I think that life is a much more general phenomena than just our biology, then I think that the universe is full of life. And the reason for the Fermi paradox is not that they're not out there, it's just that we can't interact with the other life forms because they're so different. And I'm not saying that they're necessarily like as depicted in Arrival or other, I'm just saying that perhaps there are very few universal facts in the universe, and maybe that our technologies are quite divergent, and so I think that it's very hard to know how we're going to interact with alien life.
You think there's a lot of kinds of life that's possible? I guess that was the intuition.
Yeah.
You provided that the way biology itself, but even this particular kind of biology that we have on Earth, is something that is just one sample of nearly infinite number of other possible complex, autonomous, self-replicating type of things that could be possible. And so we're almost unable to see the alternative versions of us. Huh. I mean, we'll still be able to detect them. We'll still be able to interact with them. We'll still be able to, what's exactly is lost in translation? Why can't we see them? Why can't we talk to them? Because I too have a sense, you put it way more poetically, but it seems both statistically and sort of romantically, it feels like the universe should be teeming with life, like super intelligent life. And I sit there, and the Fermi paradox is felt very distinctly by me when I look up at the stars, because it's like it's the same way I feel when I'm driving through New Jersey and listening to Bruce Springsteen and feel quite sad. It's like Louis C.K. talks about pulling off to the side of the road and just weeping a little bit. I'm almost like wondering, like, hey, why aren't you talking to us? It feels lonely. It feels lonely because it feels like they're out there.
I think that there are a number of answers to that. I think the Fermi paradox is perhaps based on the assumption that if life did emerge in the universe, it would be similar to our life, and there's only one solution. And I think that what we've got to start to do is go out and look for selection detection, rather than an evolution detection, rather than life detection. And I think that once we start to do that, we might start to see really interesting things. And we haven't been doing this for very long. And we are living in an expanding universe, so that makes the problem a little bit harder.
For me, he's always needy,
But
distance wise.
I'm very optimistic that we will. Well, I don't know. There are two movies that came out in the same within 6 months of one another: Ad Astra and Cosmos. Ad Astra, the very expensive blockbuster, with Brad Pitt in it, and saying there is no life, and it's all, we've got a life on Earth is more precious. And Cosmos, which is a UK production, which basically aliens came and visited Earth one day, and they were discovered in the UK. Right? It was quite. It's a fun film. But I really loved those two films, and and at the same time, those films at the time those films were coming out, I was working on a paper, um, a life detection paper, and I found it was so hard to publish this paper, and it was almost as depressed. I got so depressed trying to get this science out there that I felt the depression of the film in Ad Astra, like life. There's no life elsewhere in the universe, but I'm incredibly optimistic that I think we will find life in the universe, firm evidence of life, and it will have to start on Earth, making life on Earth and surprising us. We have to surprise ourselves
Yeah,
and make
about like my post.
non-biological life on Earth.
Oh,
And
for
then people
sure,
say, well,
dog.
you made this life on Earth, therefore you're part of the causal chain of that, and that might be true. But if I
39
can
seconds
show
ago.
how
Son.
I'm able to do it with very little cheating or very little information input, just creating like a model planet of some description and watching life emerge, then I think that we will be even to persuade even the hardest critic that it's possible. Now, with regards to the Fermi paradox, I think that we might crush that with the JWST. It's basically, if I recall correctly, the mirror is about 10 times the size of the Hubble. That we're going to be able to do spectroscopy, look at colors of exoplanets, I think. Not brilliantly, but we'll be able to start to classify them, and we will start to get a real feel for what's going on in the universe on these exoplanets. Because it's only in the last few decades, I think, maybe even last decade, that we even um, um, came to recognize that exoplanets even are common. And I think that that gives us a lot of optimism that life is going to be out there. But I think we have to start framing, um, we have to start preparing the fact that biology is only one solution. I can tell you with confidence that biology on Earth does not exist anywhere else in the universe. We are absolutely unique.
Well, okay, I love the confidence, but where does that confidence come from? Chemistry. Uh, like, how many options does chemistry really have?
Many. That's the point. And the thing is, this is where the origin of life scam comes in. Uh, is that people don't count the numbers. So if biology, as we find on Earth, is common everywhere, then there's something really weird going on. That basically, written in the quantum mechanics, there's some kind of these bonds must form over these bonds, and this catalyst must form over this catalyst when they're all quite equal. Life is contingent. The origin of life on Earth was contingent upon the chemistry available at the origin of life on Earth. So that means if we want to find other Earth-like worlds, we look for the same kind of rocky worlds. We might look in the same zone as Earth, and we might expect reasonably to find biological-like stuff going on. That would be a reasonable hypothesis, but it won't be the same. It can't be. It's like saying, I don't believe in magic. That's why I'm sure. I just don't believe in magic. I believe in statistics, and I can do experiments, and so I won't get exactly the same sequence of events. I'll get something different. And so there is TikTok elsewhere in the universe, but it's not the same as our TikTok, right? That's what I mean.
Which aspect of it is not the same?
Well, I just think so what is TikTok? TikTok is a social media where people upload videos, right, of silly videos. So I guess there might be.
Well, there's humor, there's attention, there's
Yeah.
ability to process, there's ability for intelligent organisms to collaborate on ideas and find humor in ideas and play with those ideas, make them viral, memes. Humor seems to be kind of fundamental to the human experience.
And I think that that's a really interesting question we can ask. Is humor a fundamental thing in the universe? I think maybe it will be, right? In terms of, if you think about in a game theoretic sense, humor, the emergence of humor serves a role in our game engine. And so if selection is fundamental in the universe, and so is humor.
Well, I actually don't know exactly what role humor serves. Maybe it's like from a chemical perspective, it's like a catalyst for. I guess it serves several purposes. One is a catalyst for spreading ideas on the internet. That's modern humor. But humor is also a good way to deal with the difficulty of life. It's a kind of release valve for suffering. Like throughout human history, life has been really hard, and for the people that I've known in my life who've lived through some really difficult things, humor is part of how they deal with that.
Yeah.
It's usually dark humor, but yeah, it's interesting. I don't know exactly sort of what's the more mathematically general way to formulate what the hell is humor. Humor does it serve? But I still, we're kind of joking here, but it's a counterintuitive idea to me to think that life elsewhere in the universe is very different than life on Earth, and also like all of each instantiation of life is likely very different from each other.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's a few clusters of similar like life, but it's much more likely is what you're saying. To me, it's a kind of novel thought. I'm not sure what to do with it. But you're saying that it's more common to be a weird outcast in the full spectrum of life than it is to be in some usual cluster. So every instantiation of a kind of chemistry that results in complexity that's autonomous and self-replicating, however the hell you define life, that is going to be very different every time. I don't know. It feels like a selection is a fundamental kind of directed force in the universe. Won't selection result in a few pockets of interesting complexities? I mean, if we ran Earth over again, over and over and over, you're saying it's going to come up with there's not going to be elephants every time?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that there will be similarities, and I think we don't know enough about how selection is globally works. But it might be that the elephant, the emergence of elephants was wired into the history of Earth in some way, like the gravitational force, how evolution was going, Cambrian explosions, blah blah blah, the emergence of mammals. But I just don't know enough about the contingency, right, and the variability. All I do know is you count the number of bits of information required to make an elephant, um, and think about the causal chain that provides the lineage of elephants going all the way back to Luca. There's a huge scope for divergence.
Yeah, but just like you said, with chemistry and selection, the things that result in self-replicating chemistry and self-replicating organisms, those are extremely unlikely, as you're saying. But once they're successful, they multiply. So like, I just there might be a tiny subset of all things that are possible in the universe, chemically speaking. It might be a very tiny subset that's actually successful at creating elephants or elephant-like or slash human-like creatures.
Well, there's two different questions. There's the first one: if we were to reset Earth and to start again,
but we're different phases. Sorry to keep interrupting.
Yeah, no. If we restart Earth and start again, say we go back to the beginning and do the experiment, or have a number of Earths, how similar would biology be? I would say that there would be broad similarities, but the emergence of mammals is not a given unless we're going to throw an asteroid at each planet each time and try and faithfully reproduce what happened. Then there's the other thing about when you go to another Earth-like planet elsewhere, maybe there's a different ratio of particular elements. Maybe there's the bombardment at the beginning of the planet was quicker or longer than Earth, and I just don't have enough information there. What I do know is that the complexity of the story of life on Earth gives us lots of scope for variation, and I just don't think it's a reasonable mathematical assumption to think that life on Earth that happened again would be the same as what we have now.
Okay, but you've also extended that to say that we might, as an explanation for the Fermi paradox, that that means we're not able to interact with them, or that means that's an explanation for why we haven't, at scale, heard from aliens is
well, right now
different than us.
we've only been looking for say 70, 80 years. So So I think that the reason we have not found aliens yet is that we haven't worked out what life is.
No, but the aliens have worked that out, surely. Statistically speaking, there must be a large number of aliens that are way ahead of us on this whole life question, unless there's something about this stage of intellectual evolution that often quickly results in nuclear war and destroys itself. Like there's something in this process that eventually, I don't know, crystallizes the complexity and it stops, either dies or stops developing. But most likely they already figured it out. Why aren't they contacting us? Is it some grad student somewhere wants to study a new green planet?
Maybe they have. I mean, I don't have a coherent answer to your question, other than to say that if there are other aliens out there and they're far more advanced, they might be in contact with each other, and they might also. We might be at a point where what I'm saying quite critically is it takes two to talk, right? So the aliens might be there, but if we don't have the ability to recognize them and talk to them, then the aliens aren't going to want to talk to us. And I think that's a critical point. That probably, if that's a filter, there needs to be an ability for one to communicate with the other, and we need to know what life is before we do that. So we haven't qualified to even join their club to have a talk.
Well, I think they still want to teach us how to talk, right? But my worry is that, or I think they would want to teach us how to talk like you do when you meet it. Like when you even meet, I was going to say child, that's a human species. I mean like ant. You want to try to communicate with them through whatever devices you can, given what an ant is like. I worry mostly about that humans are just too close-minded or don't have the right tools.
No, I'm going to push back on this quite significantly. I would say, because we don't understand what life is, and because we don't understand how life emerged in the universe, we don't understand the physics that gave rise to life yet. That means our fundamental description, I'm way out of my pay grade, even further out, but I'll say it anyway. I think it's
you don't get paid much anyway, so as you said earlier,
so I would say that because we don't understand the universe yet, we do not understand how the universe spat out life, and we don't know what life is. And I think that until we understand that, it is going to limit our ability to even. We don't qualify to talk to the aliens. So I'm going to say that they might be there, but I'm not going to say that I believe in interdimensional aliens being present.
Yeah, but I think you're just being self-critical. Like we don't qualify. I think the fact that we don't qualify qualifies us. We're interesting in our innocence.
No, I'm saying that because we don't understand causal chains and the way that information is propagated in the universe, and we don't understand what replication is yet, and we don't understand how life emerged, I think that we would not recognize aliens, and if someone doesn't recognize you, you wouldn't go and talk to it. You don't go and talk to ants. You don't go and talk to birds, or maybe some birds you do, right? Because you can. There's just enough cognition. So I'm saying because we don't have enough, our cognitive abilities are not yet where they need to be. We probably haven't been communicating with them.
So you don't agree with the dating strategy of playing hard to get? Because us humans, that's to attract us.
Within a species, that's fine, but I think we don't have the actual abstraction. No, I think in this talk, in this conversation, you've helped me crystallize something that I think has been troubling me for a long time with the Fermi paradox. I'm pretty sure that a reasonable avenue is to say that you would not go and talk to your cat about calculus, right?
But I would still pet it.
Sure, but I'm not talking about petting a cat. The analogy is that the aliens are not going to talk to us because and I'm using calculus as an analogy for abstraction, because we lack the fundamental layer of understanding what life is and what the universe is in our reality, that it would be so counterproductive interacting with intelligent alien species that it would cause more angst for human race.
Well, they don't care. Okay, they got to be self-interested, so they more care about is it interesting for them. Maybe surely there's a way to complete understanding. It must be a very frustrating experience for other kinds of intelligence to communicate with us. Still, there must be a way to interact with us.
Well,
like perturb the system in interesting ways to see what these creatures do.
We might actually find the answer. I mean, again, out of my pay grade, in a simulation of Earth, or let's say a simulation where we allow an intelligent AI to emerge, right? And that AI, we then give it the objective is to be curious, interact with other intelligence in this universe, and then we might find the parameters required for that AI to work up. And I think you'll find the AI will not talk to other AIs that don't share the ability to abstract at the level of the AI, because it's just a cat. And are you going to travel 20 light years to go and pet a cat?
So not because of the inability to do so, but because of like boredom. It's more interested. It will start talking to. It will spend a majority of its time talking to other AI systems that can at least somewhat understand. It's much more fun.
It's a bit like, do we know that plants are conscious? Well, plants aren't conscious in the way we typically think, but we don't talk to them. They could be, right?
But there's a lot of people, I don't know if you like gardening. There's always going to be a weird.
They're just gardening.
Okay, well, you're not romantic enough to see gardening as a way of communication to humans.
Oh, okay, you've got me.
But there's ways. There's always going to be the people who are curious. Jane Goodall, who lives with the chimps, right? There's always going to be curious, intelligent species that visit the weird Earth planet and try to